Well, hello everyone, and welcome to week 12 of my life as a CTC cadet pilot. As usual, it's been a very busy week. As a matter of fact, we have completely finished, what's it called again? Oh yeah, radio navigation, RNAV, and instruments. So we're now halfway through the content of module 2. And it's been extremely busy, so much so, this is my red folder now. It's nearly full. Going to be starting a blue one next week, and that will be flight planning and performance. So what have we covered this week? I've got a list here. So we've covered secondary surveillance radar, which can use the transponder to track an aircraft. Can do it in great detail. For example, not only tracks at altitude, it can give you heading, speeds, aircraft identification. On top of that, you've got the usual stuff with mode, Alpha and Charlie, which gives you score codes. We've also studied a bit more about the flight management system. That's the good thing about radio navigation and instruments. There is a little bit of crossover with FMS, so that was quite nice. We've learnt about how all the different flight management computers interact with each other. And that leads us on to the Global Positioning System, or GPS as it's known as. A very handy tool in aviation because you can literally just turn it on and you can know to a reasonably good accuracy of where you are. So GPS is great when it works. Only problem with it though is GPS is actually run by the American military, so we've been told if they want to turn it off, they can turn it off. So in instruments, we've also talked about the heads-up display. This is something that's coming in more on the newer aircraft. So for example, the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, the Airbus A350, and I believe the 737 Next Generations have it as well. And of course, their Maxes will have it as well. It's quite good because it means that the pilot can look through a holographic glass and they can still see outside, look at the runway as they're on approach, but it will also have all the different aircraft parameters on it, such as airspeed, altitude, the instrument land system. So it means you don't have to shift your gaze, whereas, say for example, I'm looking at outside the window now, if I didn't have the heads-up display, I'd be doing this all the time. Like, what's my airspeed? Fine, look out the window, runway's still there. You know how it goes. We've also got the flight director system, so let's just adjust that a little bit. There we go. So we've got the flight director, and basically it shows you what the autopilot wants you to do when you don't have it engaged, and when you do have the autopilot engaged, it will actually show you what it's doing. It's very handy bit of kit. As a matter of fact, some pilots become so reliant on it that if it fails, they're a bit, well, let's just say they're in trouble, like they'll be a bit out of practice. So sometimes we've been told it might be a good idea to fly without the flight director every now and again, just to make sure your hand flying skills are still there. So move that down a bit. Ooh, a bit too far. So bear with me, I've got a list here. There we go. So we've also learned about how computers work in general, like how the CPU works, how the random access memory works. I don't think our instructor particularly enjoyed teaching this one because they feel it's a bit, for a pilot, it's useless because if the computers go wrong, you're not going to just go, oh, I'll just go and repair them at 38,000 feet. It's just a bit pointless really, but I don't mind. I mean, I know a little bit about computers anyway, so it's not a big deal. We've also learned about the traffic collision and avoidance system, TCAS, and how that works. Basically comparing the position of two transponders, one on board your own aircraft and one on board, well, basically any other aircraft. But as soon as they get within a certain range, you'll get a warning on your navigation display and it'll go, traffic, traffic. And we've been told we might get one of those like once a month. It's not a big deal, it's just that as an aircraft in your vicinity, it doesn't pose any danger at the moment, but you might want to keep an eye on it. It's only when it goes into what's known as the TCAS RA, it's called, basically the aircraft is so close to you that you need to make an avoiding action, and like the TCAS will go climb, climb, or descend, descend, and like that's basically click the autopilot off and do what you're told and you'll be fine. Of course, some people have ignored that in the past, and the consequences have not been very good. Well, basically mid-air collision. So that's what TCAS is there for. It's there to avoid mid-air issues. We've also got the enhanced ground proximity warning system we've studied, and which leads into the different modes that the GPWS can lead into. So we talked about how TCAS can call out traffic. The GPWS, it can actually do other call-outs. For example, if you're descending towards terrain and it's getting a bit near, so for example, if you're descending, it's just like, well, if it looks like you're going to be crashing pretty soon, it's going to be like terrain, and if that doesn't wake you up, if you get really near, it'll be like pull up, and yeah, you don't want to be hearing that. I mean, if you hear that, you're probably going to get called in for a meeting with your training manager or whoever the head of pilot management is at your airline. So yeah, don't really want those warnings going off. They can sometimes go off over like a false alarm. For example, if you're flying into Innsbruck, which I believe is in the Alps, so if you're flying some approaches on that, then you may get a terrain warning, which can be expected, but you do have to abide by it and go around just in case that it's not a fake warning, that you could be flying towards a mountain. And if you do fly towards a mountain, then you could crash, and that's where the flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder come in. And they're stored at the tail end of the aircraft, which is where they're most likely to survive a crash. And it basically stores thousands of parameters on the aircraft and how it's flown. And yeah, if you find these two boxes, 99% of the time you know what's gone wrong with the aircraft. I mean, like, take Air France 447 over the Atlantic, for example. We hardly knew anything about that. And then the flight data recorders were recovered, and we found out pretty quickly what went wrong with it. So let's scroll down the list a bit more. I won't go too far. We talked a little bit about other instruments such as tachometers, so basically engine RPM put simply, torque meter. You probably know what torque is. It's like torque on your car, apart from it's for a propeller, and not the wheels on your car. We've also looked at engine pressure ratios, which can be short for EPR. So you really want to monitor your engine, make sure the pressures stay within limits. And also how to measure the fuel. Now, on commercial airliners, you measure the fuel simply by, you get in the flight deck and you see what your fuel indication is, but what if that stops working? You've still got to be able to manually do it, and there's various different ports under the aircraft where you can literally go under, pull this thing out, and then you can take a measurement. Only problem is though, it's not just one of them, there's like a dozen of them all over the wings, so generally a flight engineer will do that kind of thing, and it can take 20-30 minutes if you're unlucky, but it's a way of verifying how much fuel you've got in the tank, particularly if you've got either a malfunctioning fuel indicator or if it's just not working the end on that. We've also looked at full authority digital engine control, which FADEC is the short way of putting it, and it basically controls all the engine parameters for you. It's quite an advanced bit of kit. As a matter of fact, the Diamond DA42 Twin Star that I'll be flying hopefully in probably about a year's time, that's actually got FADEC on it as well, so it's an advanced bit of kit that's generally mostly reserved for commercial airliners. So if you get to fly a DA42, it's great. I mean, I've been told, you don't have to worry much about the engines, like, as my instructor said, as the throttles are basically go faster handles. If you want to go faster, you push them further forward, and you will go faster, and the engine or the FADEC will handle it all for you. We've also looked at the electrically centralised aircraft monitoring, or ECAM for short. That's the Airbus version. There's another one for Boeing, but I haven't got that one written down. and it's basically monitoring your aircraft for any problems. So if anything in red comes up, you're not going to have a good day. Orange means you're probably going to have to write something, and blue and white means make a note in the tech log. And finally, I would also like to say that this is actually being filmed on the following Monday. I would have filmed this on Sunday, but unfortunately my voice was completely shot from Saturday. Now, what did I do on Saturday? Well, CTC approximately every month host a open day, which is where they open up their train centre in Southampton to the public. You register for tickets and you can come and have a visit, see if this career is right for you and whether CTC is the right place for you. But to make these events run, they do require volunteers from the ground school. So, seeing that I didn't have any exams on at the moment, I put my hand up and volunteered to do it, and it was great fun. But I was talking to guests for about 7 hours straight, and it took quite a toll on my voice. I mean, you probably hear it at the moment, it's still a little bit raspy, but you can actually understand me now. So whereas yesterday I was a bit not great. As a matter of fact, I can feel it going a bit now, so I won't have this video going for too much longer. But like I say, with the CTC Open Days, if you really are serious about becoming a commercial airline pilot, I'd highly recommend not just visiting CTC's Open Days. There are other flight training schools out there that host Open Days as well. Check them out and find out what's right for you, because if there's no point spending this kind of money if you're not doing what you feel is right and you're not happy about. You've got to go somewhere that you're happy with. For me, that choice was CTC. But for you, it could be something different. It's personal circumstances. So do your research, go to an open day. And the good thing about CTC Open Days, I mean, I know they don't publicise this too much, but they do sometimes have the simulators open. You can have a couple of minutes on them. I mean, one of the things I got as a volunteer, I was allowed to sit in the captain's seat for about 20-30 minutes, and I was on like throttle management, so I was covering the throttles, operating the reverse thrusters and spoilers, whilst people that had come as guests, they got to do the hand flying and try and put it down the runway, and most people were pretty good, but there were a few not great landings. I mean, my personal favourite was when we had one person bounce 20 feet back up in the air. That was very entertaining. But anyhow, so what's going to happen next week? So we finished radio nav and instruments, and next week we're starting, well, it's Monday, so I've already started, performance and flight planning. So yeah, that'll be the second half of module 2. Don't know what it's going to be like, to be honest. I mean, I won't spoil anything from today, but I'll fill you in at the end of the week on how flight planning and performance has gone. Good news is, it's only a 4-day week. We've got a computer-based study day on Friday, so yes, I can finally catch up on my notes a bit more. Yeah, that red folder I showed you earlier, that's not finished. That's going to be pretty grand by the end. So, I'm going to wrap the video up. My voice is just about gone now, so if you enjoy the video, feel free to leave a like. If you're enjoying the series and want to see more, feel free to subscribe. And if you know anyone who's interested in flight training, or just feel like sharing the video, give it a share. Don't know why I did a thumbs up, give it a thumbs up anyway. Feel free to share the video, and I will see you next week. Take it easy. Bye bye.